What's the dumbest rule a parent ever made that ended up quietly destroying your whole family? I was 15 when my stepdad made the rule that eventually broke our family in half. It started because I got $40 from my grandmother for my birthday. Wells saw the card on the counter and asked where the money was. I told him it was mine. He shook his head. In this house, he said, money is not yours or mine. It belongs to the family fund, so nobody can be selfish. My mom smiled like it was sweet. She had married him a year earlier and still believed he was the steady one. That night I dropped my $40 into a locked metal box on top of the fridge, and Wells wrote the amount in a notebook with my name next to it. At first the rule sounded almost fair. Then it turned into a cage. If I earned $20 raking leaves, it went in the box. If my little brother Silas got tooth fairy money, it went in the box. If mom picked up a weekend shift, her tips went in the box. Wells decided what came out and when, and he called it budgeting. He said a family that pools everything can never be broken apart. Every Sunday he read the notebook out loud like it was scripture, and every Sunday the number only ever went up for the box and down for the rest of us. Then the rule grew teeth. When I needed new cleats for soccer, Wells said the fund could not afford it, even though I had put in $60 that month. When my school field trip cost $15, he made me write a request on paper and wait 3 days for his answer. When mom asked for grocery money, he made her bring back the receipt and read it to him line by line. He started opening her banking app to check that no paycheck had been hidden. He called it transparency. People who share everything have nothing to hide, he said, so all of us started hiding. I kept a folded $10 bill inside my shoe. Silas buried quarters in a jar in the backyard. Mom began asking her manager to pay her in cash and told Wells the extra shifts were unpaid training. The rule that was supposed to make us one family turned every single one of us into a person with a secret stash. The lies got easier the longer we told them. I said practice ran long when I was really working a shift nobody knew about. Silas said he lost his allowance when he was really adding to his jar. Mom stopped mentioning overtime at all. One time Wells found $8 in my jacket and treated it like a crime, making me explain where it came from while he wrote the number in his notebook. Ironically, the rule that was built to make us trust each other taught us to trust nobody, least of all Wells. Then, everything came apart on a Tuesday night. Silas woke up unable to breathe. His inhaler was empty, and the late pharmacy needed $12 for the refill. Mom asked Wells to open the box. He stood in the kitchen in his robe and said the fund was for planned expenses, not for panic. He wanted to know if it was really that serious, or if we were being dramatic again. Mom did not argue with him. She pulled a roll of hidden cash from the lining of her winter coat, drove to the pharmacy herself, and sat up with Silas until his chest went quiet around 3 in the morning. The next day, she lifted the metal box off the fridge and asked Wells to open it in front of all of us. Years of birthday cards, tooth fairy coins, raked leaf money, and weekend tips had gone into that box. Wells fumbled with the little key and told her she was overreacting. When the lid finally came up, the box was almost empty. A few crumpled bills sat at the bottom. Wells said he had made a few withdrawals over time for household needs. Mom held up a thick stack of bank statements she had quietly requested weeks earlier. Every withdrawal had a date printed next to it. None of them were groceries. There was a fishing trip, a new watch, a bar tab, a weekend somewhere none of us had ever been. For the first time, Wells had nothing to read from his notebook. Mom filed the paperwork 2 weeks later. In the lawyer office, she was asked what the money had been spent on. She did not talk about the cleats or the receipts or the locked box. She simply said, a family is not a bank you get to quietly drain. Silas and I live with her now. We keep our own money in our own accounts, not because we are selfish, but because it is ours, and it always was. Wells still lives in the same house with the empty box sitting on top of the fridge. He tells anyone who will listen that the family fell apart because we stopped believing in the system.